This is a samurai. This is a maid cafe. I asked myself how Japan shifted from a feudal society with samurais to maids' cafes all over Akihabara. After skimming through hours of content and reading history books on Japan, I never found a satisfying answer. The strictness of Japanese society, okay. But how the hell do we explain how we went from badass samurais all over the place to maids' cafe lovers? We will thread through over 400 years of history to uncover this mystery, and little did I know, this travel will take us away outside the box. Our story begins in 1600 at the Battle of Sekigahara. This pivotal clash decided the fate of Japan. Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged victorious, and the Tokugawa Shogunate was born. For over 250 years, peace was achieved, and the samurai were at the top of Japan's social hierarchy, serving their lords, or daimyo, as warriors and bureaucrats. It was an age of strict social order, honor, and bushido, the way of the warrior. Trading their bows and katanas for pens, samurai continued to live on in the society. By the way, the representation of their historical figures by the Japanese takes a lot of liberties, as you can see. We will return later to anime culture, which is central to our narrative. But peace came with a price. By the 18th century, the samurai were no longer needed for war. Many became administrators, teachers, or simply grew poor. Then came the ultimate shock, the arrival of Commodore Perry and his black ships in 1853. This forced Japan to open its ports to the west, shattering its isolation. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 marked the end of the shogunate and the samurai class. Feudal Japan was over, and a new modern nation was born, replacing the shogun by an emperor. Let's take a quick step back to explore the origins of Bushido. Bushido, or the Way of the Warrior, is a moral and ethical code developed by the samurai in Japan. Inspired by Zen Buddhism, Shinto, and Confucianism, Bushido promoted a way of life based on loyalty, honor, and discipline. The 7 principles of Bushido can be summarized in 7 virtues. G. Justice or rectitude. Doing what is right, even in the face of difficulties. U. Courage. Courage does not mean acting recklessly, but doing what is right, even in adversity. Jin. Benevolence. Showing compassion and empathy towards others, even enemies. Rei. Respect or courtesy. Showing respect to all, regardless of their rank or status. Makoto. Honesty or sincerity. Being faithful to one's word. Meiyo. Honor. It involves preserving one's reputation and that of the family through righteous and noble actions. Chu. Loyalty. Loyalty to one's lord, family, and clan is paramount. A samurai places obligations above personal interests. The Meiji era was a period of rapid modernization. Samurai swords were traded for Western suits, and Japan built railways, factories, and a modern military. The samurai spirit didn't disappear entirely, though. It found new forms in literature, cinema, and even in martial arts like kendo. However, Japan's rapid modernization came with challenges. From the early 20th century, Japan was engulfed in war, culminating in World War II and its devastating aftermath. The nation's defeat in 1945 led to a cultural reset. Under American occupation, Japan embraced democracy, rebuilt its economy, and, interestingly, began blending its traditional culture with influences from the West. This mix would set the stage for something unexpected: the rise of modern pop culture. The samurai continued to live on, though, as stated by Kazunagai, a history professor specializing in international and military relations at Kyoto University. On August 15, 1945, everything collapsed. As the country opened more to Western culture, it experienced at the same time a movement to preserve traditional forms of expression, driven even before the war by the writer Soetsu Yanagi. Samurai were the cornerstone of post-World War II Japanese cinema, like Yojimbo or Seven Samurais, which heavily inspired another Hollywood classic, The Magnificent Seven. The image of the samurai and its values continued to spread throughout local culture. By the 1970s and 80s, Japan's economic miracle gave birth to new subcultures. Anime, manga, and video games surged in popularity, and technology hubs like Akihabara became symbols of Japan's innovation and creativity. Akihabara, once a center for electronics, transformed into a mecca for otaku culture, a term for passionate fans of anime, manga, and video games. People no longer just consumed these stories, they wanted to live in them. This gave rise to cosplay and themed entertainment. And so, in the early 2000s, a new trend appeared: maid cafes. But let's quickly return to manga and anime. Manga culture has never abandoned the figure of the samurai. From Kenshin to Demon Slayer and One Piece, the samurai and the katana hold a prominent place in Japanese culture. It is important to note the significance of manga in Japan and the stereotypes used across its various genres. The value of friendship, self-acceptance, and the culture of surpassing oneself are just some of the messages conveyed to young readers to help shape their foundation of moral values. Often depicted as a brave and fearless warrior, the samurai continues to uphold the values of Bushido to the audience even today. This also applies to maids, who are very present in manga culture. They also convey moral values, such as a sense of sacrifice or respect for authority. Today, maid cafes are a cornerstone of Akihabara's identity. They aren't just for locals, they've become a global curiosity, attracting tourists from around the world. Beyond maid cafes, Japan's subcultures have expanded, blending tradition with modernity in unique ways. Combining Japan's love for fantasy, hospitality, and cuteness, or kawaii, maid cafes offered an escape from the pressures of modern life. Customers are greeted with,
"Welcome home, master."
With the dare archetypes inherited from anime, there's a maid for everyone. From the tsundere, cold at first but with a big heart, to the downright dangerous yandere, the variations are numerous. We would need an entire video to cover the topic, so I'll leave it at that. Japan's ability to honor its history while creating futuristic, playful spaces is part of what makes its culture so intriguing. From samurai castles to maid cafes, Japan's transformation reflects its resilience, adaptability, and imagination. So how did Japan go from samurai to maid cafes? The journey spans centuries of war, peace, modernization, and creativity. The spirit of Japan, its reverence for tradition and embrace of innovation, has allowed it to continually reinvent itself. The strictness of the Japan society is just a part of the answer. A firefighter giving their life for others is somewhat like the modern samurai. After battling the flames, a little rest at a maid cafe is well deserved. And so the samurai became a maid cafe lover.